Well, Rockstars, for a house building tutorial, this is a pretty dang good location to actually build with. Cool icy mountains all the way down to an icy river that you can use for transportation into what I'm gonna guess is more of an ocean. Oh yeah, that is very nice. So the question that we're obviously answering is, how do we build a house in this area? Well, let's go over all the basics. First of all, we need a spot. Now, I like the idea of being in between these two mountains, right? So I feel like the best spot is either on top or right in front of the mountains right here. Let's choose with the top of the mountain. Now, obviously, depending on what mountain or biome or whatever you're in, it's really going to depend on what blocks you choose to build with. We're going to keep things simple. We're going to choose spruce because that's the biome that we're in. With that, we're also going to take some obvious blocks like cobblestone, stone bricks. Those are some pretty easy ones that we definitely want to build with. When you're choosing your blocks, you want to make sure you don't have too many of a specific color scheme, aka you don't want to go with a spruce log on top of something like cobble deep slate because they're both super rich, dark, and blocks. So, you know, they don't balance each other out. And we'll get to more of that here in a second. So we're going to build on top of the mountain. So let's get a really simplistic outline, which is going to look like a square, but we're not going to be building a square. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 long. The reason we make it 11 long or any odd number specifically, because as most Minecrafters know, that we usually prefer a single door in the center, and you can't put the door in the center if you don't have an odd number of blocks. So 8, 9, 10, 11, and now we can just finish off the square entirely, and we'll have a square outline for the first part of our base. Since we live in Taiga, spruce wood is going to be our most common wood, and we want to take advantage of that. So we have a lot of spruce planks, stripped spruce logs, and regular logs. Now, personally, I prefer a lighter color floor, so we're going to use stone bricks as a outline here, but we're not going to fill the entire thing or the entire floor with stone bricks because we don't want it to be one boring block or color. So we want to add a little bit of pizzazz with style and patterns in there. So we're just gonna make a little bit of corner blocks with these guys, right? So that gives us some shape to it, and it gives us the direct color balance against the darker walls that we're about to put up. Because I think the best way to do it is, if you're gonna stick to just one wood type, is walls you want to keep more simplistic. Unlike a floor has got a more of a pattern-esque design here. So the best thing that we can do is literally just fill in the outside of these walls. Now, there's another reason you want to keep these walls simplistic. It's because you're going to be placing a lot of chests, blocks, furnaces, storage, whatever you do inside the house, which is going to cover up the walls. So you don't really want to focus and waste time wasting extra blocks on some type pattern. As well, since as soon as we finish this, I'm going to show you a simplistic trick that makes the house look a lot less flat. All right, so this is the pretty basic version of the house. Obviously, you're not going to see the cobblestone. We just got that as an outline. Now, how do you prevent this from just becoming a boring, flat, square house? So one of the easiest ways to make it a not square house is the fact that since we made every single side perfectly even, we can go ahead and pop this open and put another door here. Well, actually, we want the door more like here instead of here because we're not going to make it the same shape inside. With this door here, all we want to do is just add a little bit of an extension here. It's not going to be a lot, but it's going to add some dimensional niceness or shape to the actual house itself. All right, so all this seems really basic right now, right? Well, what are you talking about? This is supposed to be a house building tutorial, and you're just building useless, boring squares. This is where it really starts to mix up before you hit up the inside. So this is where we take our logs. So this is what's going to make a big difference for us in just looking at the house itself, because this will add depth to it. So basically, pretending that cobblestone layer isn't there, we just want to put logs right on the outside every little bit here. So something like this on the other side of each corner block. So we take the corner and we go up, and you can already kind of see that it right here, it adds just a different if I ever spoke, layer of depth or just dimension. It adds, it's not a flat house, because you can go on beyond this and say, let's take some stone brick stairs here, because if you want to go past just this as well, something that you could do here is, it's really bothering me that we have this layer, so we can just do this real quick, and that sort of makes it nicer. But you can take like simply just stairs and make this little circle right here, and then that adds a lot of depth to it. And then even on top of that, you take a trapdoor and we can just place it like this, which kind of covers it up, but it adds a bit of depth to it. And you can always just kind of leave it open if you really want to. And then with that, you can actually just go ahead and open this up right here. put some slabs down right here, and you have like a little mini looking window if you truly want to. You could just put glass here, or you could just keep this covered up. But the idea of these extra blocks on the outside is just that the house isn't so flat. It adds character, dimension, and color to the actual house itself. Because it looks a little strange right now, but once you get the roof on top, they sort of look like pillars supporting your actual roof. They add some 3D design that you can work in and out with. So, because say you don't like the stone brick stairs that we went over, you could always make it a simpler design and just put a couple bushes in between each house. And then, you know, from here, you can take just some good old sweet berries. And oh, I guess because we're in the snow biome specifically, you can't plant them down in the snow, but you could just put them on the corner for decoration here. And even with that, you could take trapdoors and put them on the bottom of each of these blocks like this, or the top as well. There's just the big thing I'm trying to show you guys is that when it comes to building a house in Minecraft, you don't need a lot of skill to make it look good. It's just about choosing little details and not overdoing it. So we have the outline and everything sort of set up. So let's go with the floor. We have a darker wall and we have a lighter gray stone for our floor. So choosing something like birch logs, if that wasn't an issue for us to get, would be kind of problematic. Same thing for like jungle, they're really bright colors. Now, say something for acacia, that wouldn't actually be all that bad. While it is a pretty bright and orange, it's very different from the surrounding colors that we have in this biome. But let's just pretend that you're not gonna have acacia because we are in the snow biome. Now, this is where I think a lot of people just refuse to use these blocks. I personally really like them. Not the smooth stone, but that is an option. The polished diorite and polished granite, a little lighter than we probably originally want, but I feel like they work well, especially the red from the granite. So I usually like to prefer a ring type of pattern, and we just go in a circle here, right? So you can already see that the circle and the shape and just the design is taking place. Now, I could just fill it all in and want to make it big solid color, but I'm not going to do that. That's a little more boring. But I'm also not just going to keep placing these down as specific rings because that would be a little too repetitive and you don't want too many clashing colors. Plus, smooth stone on top of, you know, good old stone bricks is not a great combination when it comes to a flooring combo. Personally, this is where you can use something a little more dark again because we have the lightness of the floor clashing with the walls. So I would take logs, right? And I would probably just switch their pattern around back and forth. And I would make a checkered table layer at this point, and that would be like my go-to. So like for these corners, we would put the up corner block like this. We've got that, you see, but now this is where we switch for the weave checkered pattern, and we switch the direction that the actual log blocks are going into. So there we go. We pull this in like this. And now we have two options here. We could just continue this pattern, which would be now we switch to sideways, but that doesn't exactly work because of the way we've got this system set up. Even if we try to put this here and switch them around, it looks all right, but it also, the pattern starts to lose itself. So I think this is where you do another corner block like this, so that way you have the wood feeling, but it's not the weave pattern because we didn't make a big enough area for a proper pattern like that. Now, this is where you would take something, almost any block that's not the same exact shading or color as anything else you have down. So smooth stone would technically work, and you could make a star out of it. So there you go. You have your pattern floor, or you could even change this very centerpiece into a granite polish. So you kind of have the accent from the red from the center to the outside. And you can see with this so far, while we're not quite a square, we're a little more of an L-type shape or whatnot, or like a finger pointing to the right. It's not a boring square, and it's not a flat square because of all these outside designs we have. It gives a lot of character to the house. Now, we've got the idea of how to build a floor, how to build the outside of a house or whatnot. So what do we do with the roof here, especially now that we have two different sections? Well, there are a couple options. Now, this is where something really, really, really dark would actually work really good, especially since we have such a bright outside. So I recommend, if we're building in this biome still, taking deep slate brick slab, maybe deep slate tile slabs. I guess nether bricks would kind of work, but they're a bit red for this area. I personally prefer building with slabs and staircases anytime I'm working on a roof type detail. But what we really want to do is, first of all, do we want this to be one roof or two separate roofs? That's the decision you're gonna have to make on your own. If it's one single roof, you're gonna have a few more issues trying to make it interconnected. Well, I think making a second separate roof is the better idea. So what we do here is we actually start off really simple by just providing the black stone outline to the entire house. So it looks like it's gonna be one roof, but doing one or two roofs, this works out either possible way. I've always liked the idea of that little bit, that hangover with the roof right here, because even if you don't have these pillars here, I like the little edge over it. It's kind of like the real life roof you would have on a house with the gutter system. Once again, the main point of it is so it adds depth to the character of the house. It's not a flat, blocky design. It actually does something for you, and it's not boring to look at. A big, simple key to Minecraft building, and I'm no professional builder if you're a regular viewer here on this channel, but a good way to go about it is not to be overcomplicated, but just to add simplistic changes that switch it up, because you can really see how much this stands out, and it looks really nice in comparison to when we just had the walls or something up. All the characteristics of the other blocks really pitch in to help identify it. So this is where we need to decide, do we want one big roof or two little roofs? Because if you want one big roof, the best thing you can do is not to connect these. You want to just take your roof design from here and build up. With slabs, you can go like this, or you could also mix them with the staircases, because they have that bottom connecting point which connects to the slabs. So it makes it actually really, really nice sometimes, because if we use the slabs, you can see that it creates a space in between the top of this block and the next one, which sometimes can look really good, but a lot of the times just looks messy from the inside of the house, which is why I like the idea of the staircases. Fill this in with this and make it a nice flat roof if you really wanted to, which works out for you, because if you ever want to expand up top, create a tower, maybe a roof balcony, you have a flat area. But you could also just pretty easily take the stairs or the slabs and just build it in between every single layer, and that way you get a nice little lift from your house. So we put that here, then there we go. So now it looks like it builds up a little bit, adds a nice little bit of character to it, and you can always expand upon that too, since you can always double up on that as well. Put like stairs up top, like right here. See, that's not a bad look overall, but the slabs do make it a little tall, so the best way to actually do that probably would be to do it like this with the stairs. Now, getting them to all connect roundly in a circle, there we go, like that would work well. And then it's a smaller section, but once again, it just depends on how you map out the slabs or the staircases from there, and that can make this little section bigger or smaller. Now, while we are taking this same design that we used on the mini roof and putting it onto this big roof, it's not going to come out quite the same. Putting on, it's all about the actual roofing style itself. So we want to put staircases here, and staircases are going to be the main thing that we use for this entire roof section, because I am going to build my favorite roof, and I don't know if it's my favorite roof. It's the easiest, most classic roof style for me in craft. And I think one of the reasons I like this style of roof so much, because it is really boring and sort of basic, is because there's technically a lot of ways you could do this. You could technically make the bigger or smaller circles. You could make the roof less pointy by making the idea of everything more flat and just using less of these as well. You could also just only do half of this, you know, for a more 21st century style. So like build up to a height of like right here, and then put maybe like a glass panel over here, so you have like a skylight, which I guess I gave away exactly the point of what we're about to do, because I'm not going to fill this into the very, very top like I do a lot of the times. If I'm on a more survival-esque build that doesn't matter on looks, we would fill this to the top. But with this here, this is a nice, beautiful hole, so we're going to take glass. Now, as much as I like colored glass, it's hard to make it look good, personally, in my opinion, just for regular house builds, not anything super specific. So what we're just going to do is fill this in, and it's kind of obvious at this point. It's just a skylight, but it adds a lot, and you'll have a lot more natural light during the daytime, so you won't need nearly as many blocks of things like glowstone, which is our next thing that we're going to roll to. Things like glowstone can look good, but once you have too much of it, it can become a real pain and really starts to downgrade the look of your house. Now, I think the easiest way is to always just fill in the corners, because this also makes the pattern of the floor that we've chosen kind of more shapy, I guess. Is that the right word? Descriptive, characteristic. It comes alive more, because instead of just a blocky corner, now we have like like a wavy line, and we still get our light sources that we want. And once again, we can come back to this middle point and we can change this to glowstone. Or if you really want to, you can keep that granite and change all of these to glowstone. As long as you don't overdo it. Like this one, I think this is too much. I think that's too much glowstone. I think I prefer the stone pattern here with the single glowstone pattern here. I think that looks best. But you can kind of see the idea, the characterness of the house coming out already. It's not a square. It doesn't look flat and boring. It's got dimensions. And obviously, the more you change the outside, the more it's gonna look better too. We could fix up the pathing, actually make a proper ground. We could technically make stilts or whatever because the house is floating. So to add some character depth, you can go ahead and just put a couple like stilts right here. See, that would work. But little details that don't go overboard are kind of the best way to do this. For example, now that we have these two pillars, we kind of want to add some more support for the pillars, right? So let's just add a little bit of a pillar design here like this with our spruce fences, and this adds just a little bit of, you know, nice design and characterness to it, and it looks like it's supporting the roof. Do that again to the bottom, and now look how much more just realistic or alive that feels. Then you could do that again on this side and that side, and that gives you the supporting base for the actual house itself. And by the time you get to the inside for decoration, it really just depends on your personal preference at this point. Where do you put your bed? Where do you put your chest? Do you want to put paintings on the walls? You could also always switch it out, you know, mixing some of these full blocks with stairs instead, so you can actually just give yourself a little bit of depth design inside the house as well as outside the house. It's a similar concept to what we did with the logs, but since it works because the back of a staircase is a full block and the front of the staircase indents, it gives us a little character to the house. Look at that. It doesn't do anything you can physically work with, but it makes it really just so much less boring in reality. It's really nice. And then you can do a mini version like right here. Yeah, look at that. And at this point, this is where if you wanted different colored blocks that wasn't spruce or anything down here, you could put these like right here, right? And that would add even more character depth. But I think this looks pretty good. And from this point, it's just what paintings do you want to have? Do you want to make flower pots? Flower pots are a really good decision for this. You could make classic tables out of the staircases like this. There we go. We've got like a desk here. Then you just put the little flower pot in the corner, and we'll put blue since it's a bright color, and you know, that changes up the room quite a lot, and it's just continuing to do that from here. Well, besides moving in, the only thing left to do on this house is, well, create the window system, which we want to do from the outside because of the actual logs themselves. But this is where certain things come apart or come together, like the stairs themselves, because we had this original pattern here. It looks a little weird with that like that. So if you still want to keep these stairs as a possibility, because you from that design, you could just flip them this way instead, since we have the windows here, and we get a similar curved or shelf or like ottoman area type design here. But you don't need a whole lot of windows, just so it opens up a little bit. But you could also just go ahead and put as many windows in as you would want, I guess, technically, especially here in this side room, which we haven't done much, but this is a secondary room. It's always about what you want to do with it. We could put these side windows that are more 1x1, so you can actually just look out to it. It's more like a shed or a storage room. We want to get rid of this log actually, and that's probably not the best bet to have that right there. That's where the log pattern comes in with a little bit of tweakingness, because there's no exact distance between each thing that you want or do not want between the logs for the supports on the outside. Oh, look at that. That opens up the house and makes it look a lot more inviting and just a whole lot nicer this way. That's kind of it for the basics of what I go for building. Yeah, it's sort of a square-esque house, and we were trying to avoid that, but at that point, building a circle is taking everything from this and just applying it to a non-square surface. You're gonna have different patterns, different shapes of blocks and whatnot, but the rules are all gonna be the same, honestly. And actually, for specific patterns like this on the floor, a circle house would actually be easier, simply because, well, it's a circle, so you're not guessing what blocks you need to place into a square to make the circle, so it's a little easier that way. But in my personal opinion, those are everything you kind of need to know for the personal basics of building a simplistic but not boring or squarish looking house here in Minecraft. While it is technically a square, it doesn't feel like a boxy square. And I always think that what we did with the outline from the cobblestone is the easiest way to go at it, is build the sketch or the foundation or the outline of everything first, the blueprint, and then build onto it from there. We had the walls in the shape of the house, then we added the logs added us the roof allowed to add us the depth of the glass and the blocks on the inside. And I feel like one of the biggest important things is just color balance, because I feel like this was a good color balance, but there's still a little off. There's a lot of dark in the floor, but overall it looks pretty good. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Was it a good house building tutorial? Did you guys enjoy it? Did I teach you anything that makes it a little bit easier for you guys to build some decoration onto your guys' house? The whole reason I made this video was for two reasons. First of all, I didn't have a lot of time to make a video for today, and second of all, it's something I've seen quite a lot in the YouTube search history or my comment section or recommended content. Is just how to build a house. So I do hope that this was very helpful for you guys, and until next time, Rockstars, I'll see you all then. Peace.